What's up, Fightcourt? Live in effect. Ryan's laughing at me, but we live in effect. I'm Dean Thomas. That's my man Ryan Quinn. He laughing at what you laughing at, boy?
I tell you, man, sometimes I think of jokes in my head that are so funny, but I gotta touch it up. And then
don't tell me that, because sometimes when they funny in the head, they don't come out the same way they sound in the head. I get it.
Like an Israel Adesanya interview.
Yeah. Now that's funny, because that's exactly what I bet in his head. Some of the things he says is so funny and profound, but it don't come out that way. It's just, you got to work those out. You got to go to open mic and work those out.
How you doing? Where you at? It sounds busy over there.
Yeah, I'm in Philly, man. I'm in at Marquez MMA in North Philly right now. I've been working with the crew, but
how's everyone looking?
Everybody's looking good. I'm here with Brady. Saw Pat Sabatini today, Joe Pfeiffer, Jeremiah. Well, he wasn't there today, but Jeremiah Wells, he was there yesterday. I got one more day here, and then I head to Montreal, Canada, man. UFC 315.
Is it going to be warm? Is it going to be warm enough up there?
I hope so. I got a jacket just in case.
All right. Very good. Very good.
But that was this weekend. Last weekend was UFC in Des Moines. I was out there too. And let's get into the hot topic. Okay, Cory Sandhagen looked fantastic. I spoke to him today.
Oh,
I thought he looked fantastic. Cory Sandhagen. And then Bo Nickal is probably the hottest topic right now. Everybody's calling him a fraud, this, that, and the third. And I almost feel bad now, because I said so much bad stuff about him that I don't want to pile on him when everybody else is.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up. He didn't do himself any favors when he said that if they put me on the prelims, I'll just retire. You know, he did post himself up on a stature, on a pedestal a little bit. But I think that the word fraud check is a cute clickbait, cute search keyword right now in social media. So I think that's what's working against them. But I don't know. What did you think? I'll give you my thoughts, but you can go on what you think.
You know, when he first came out, I don't know why we are always so high. I think, wrestling culture has us so high on wrestlers, and that's just wrestling culture. He's the best wrestler, so he's got to be the best fighter. Mm-hmm. So I think that we gassed him up, then he started gassing himself up, and he's always been successful. Like, he's always probably been the best wrestler in every room he's ever been in, and the only time he wasn't the best wrestler was when he tried to make it to the Olympics. It didn't work, and he quit. That's right. So he's not used to being the second best. So I think that in his head, he thought he was going to be the best. He thought everything was going to go smooth, and it doesn't. MMA is such a different sport. There's just so many variables. And I think when he first came out, he started off good. He was beating everybody, and I thought he had a lot of promise and potential. But I think as time progressed, he was progressing. But then I think it just stopped, and it's just. It's not for everybody. And I'm not saying that he can't get it, but he just doesn't look like a dog.
It's funny you say second best and everything. I actually made a point to look back and see the last time when he took third was in wrestling. And why did I do that? So in wrestling, well, not so much in freestyle and Greco brackets, because it's a pool where you could lose a match and still win the gold, because it's if you get a little help along the way. But you still need to get up off your ass. But like, I know that a lot of college coaches, when they're recruiting, they look at those who took third in the major tournaments, whether it be freestyle nationals, freestyle worlds, senior nationals. Why is that? Because they want to see if the athlete could lose and without the chance to win the gold can get up off his ass and wrestle back, and has that adversity in his game. And the last time I saw him take third at anything was about 8 years ago. It was at an international tournament. I forgot which one. I made a point to it. So it has been a little while, but he has done it. Now, like I said, he didn't do himself any favors. And I was thinking too, whenever we hear the term specialty fighter, we usually picture a grappler with crappy hands. But and I know now Joe Rogan has said that Alex Pereira is a specialty fighter, but if you look, these wrestlers like Bo, is he's a specialty fighter. He's got fantastic wrestling, and he's got to get to that wrestling. That being said, I don't think it's the end of the road for him. I do think that he has some development to do, which he acknowledged. His team acknowledged. I saw Mike Brown made a post, and I do think that he will do it. I do think that this was a loss. It was a tough loss. You know, I mean, the guy was ranked. The Ritter was ranked 13th. But I do think that the ceiling is still high for him. Now, back to my specialty fighter thing. I don't see him coming out and learning how to be an excellent striker in mixed martial arts. If I'm his coach, I am focusing on jabbing into the clinch, not even jabbing to a level change like I usually like to do, jab, level change, takedown, or shooting. Or even for him, I wouldn't even focus on shooting underneath strikes. I would try to jab and looping punches into the clinch, because he looks like he's mostly effective with his knee taps, his tie-up takedowns, even the cage work. But I'll tell you what, I think made him the most uncomfortable in the fight was the activity on the ground, especially when he was on top. I feel like he wasn't ready for that. A lot of wrestlers, they get really arm heavy with their activity, and they get blown up because they're just trying to hold you down. I think that's what the Ritter made him do. He made him very active on the ground, which is what led to the sweep and ultimately got him tired. So I think that's something he's going to need to work on as well, whether it's, doing some of the grappling rounds on his back in training, or if it's just training more strict ground and pound as opposed to jiu-jitsu, which is probably what he should be doing anyway. But getting used to that activity on the ground where you're not just holding down the opponent. What do you think?
He also seemed very uncomfortable in the clinch, and it makes sense because wrestlers' clinch is different. It's one thing that and I'm adamant about this, I never work from an over and under position for longer than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't even believe in it. But that's where wrestlers start.
Mm-hmm.
They start from over and under positions, or wrestling tie-ups, or even just that space when we're doing like wrestling practice where we're like 3 feet away from each other. I don't start from there. That position doesn't exist in MMA. And the wrestlers clinch over and under, it does exist if you want it to, but I don't allow it to with my fighters. Or at least I don't want it to anyway. I'm like, yo, listen, we need to create an angle and strike. And he was uncomfortable with that.
Even against defense, you don't train that?
Even against defense, I don't train that. I say we need to create an angle and strike. Well, I don't want you here.
I like that you do that, because that's actually such a natural position anyway that you don't even need to learn. So you need to learn what happens after that. So
right.
I'm with that.
It's a stalling. I feel like it's a stalling position, and you don't create nothing. It's exactly what it is, 50-50. And I don't believe in 50-50 positions. In fact, Ryan Hall talked about he created the 50-50 leg position. He did. Like, he didn't create the position, but he created the name for the 50-50. And he did that as a trap to people, because he wants people to think it's 50-50, but he has all the advantage, which is why Cory Sandhagen was able to tear Figgy's knee, because it was a 50-50, which he had the advantages. So anyway, but I thought Bo was very uncomfortable against defense when the Ritter started punching him in the body. He was doing that thing like, oh, stop tickling me. Like, that was the little body language he had. And, you're right. Like, if he's as hungry as he says he is to be good in this sport, he'll bounce back, because I do think that he's gifted, physically gifted. Like, his movement is fantastic. Like, watching him do jiu-jitsu, he can pick up jiu-jitsu if he wanted to. He could pick up the skills if he wanted to, but he has to humble himself to do it. And he's going to have to get in the room and test it on real dudes. Can this work against real dudes? Like, I don't know what his training consists of, but he's got to humble himself and go, all right, I want to get me some Russian guys. You know what I'm saying? Get me some dudes from Tajikistan. And I'm going to try out some of this stuff on these guys. And if it don't work against them, how's it going to work in a fight?
Yeah. You gotta stick to what you're not going to make mistakes with.
Yeah, exactly. Like, stick to what you're not going to make. He should be wrestling more. He should be getting on top of guys and trying to beat them up.
Mm-hmm. He really likes that knee tap, and I love the knee tap too. But against the MMA clinch, it's pretty difficult to hit.
You're up here and then you're going down, and if somebody times a knee to your face,
yeah, you're too extended. I know that it was floating around a little bit. I know Aljo tweeted something about dropping a weight class. That might be an option. I don't think it's the primary issue. I think that, and I heard other thing, like he said, oh, I want to fight right away. I'm him. I'm taking 6 months. I'm learning some shit, and then I'll think about another fight, and then maybe think about dropping a weight class. Because if he drops a weight class, then that's what's going to be the focus. It's not going to be on his technique. It's going to be losing weight, you know?
Well, I hate the idea that guys feel like the weight class is the answer. It's going up is more of the answer. Going down is not really, it's sort of a band-aid on a bullet wound, because going down is almost like you're dismissing your and not being accountable for your lack of skill set. Yeah. And at the top of every division, if you can't beat guys in your weight class in the top, you're not going to beat them under you.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point? Like, he might have some advantages over some guys because he's tall, but once guys figure that out and go, man, listen, he can't take body shots, he's uncomfortable getting hit at times, like, we're just gonna beat him up. Like, he's gonna out wrestle us, but we're gonna beat him up.
Yep, I agree. He's gotta just get into the gym and train uncomfortable positions, and I think that'll answer a lot of his questions. You know, just even play around, like we talked about here so many times. Just play around in positions and see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, I'd like to see him do more jiu-jitsu, man. I'd like to see him like lean in on, like he went for that choke on Ritter. Probably not the right guy to go for a choke against. Like, it might have worked against, somebody else. It might have worked against like a more striking oriented guy, but that's kind of not the idea to go against that from the Ritter. But I mean, I'd like to see him do more of that, like choking people and getting in and out of submissions and getting back to your feet. But he still has to be able to box better. Like he's just throwing punches. I get that, but if he's gonna if he's not moving his feet, like if he's gonna sit down on his punches, he's got to be able to box better. And he doesn't look like he boxes that well.
It didn't look like he was sitting on any punches. He was just waving out hooks out there.
Well, winging them, right? He's winging these punches, hoping to get lucky.
Yeah, but there's another thing if the UFC really wants to, which I was thinking about, they could do that could kind of quietly mitigate this loss. And now it depends what happens if they have Paul Craig fight the Ritter, but Paul Craig's not ranked anymore. He's fighting in 2 weeks. If they could do that turnaround, let's say Paul Craig beats the Ritter, Bo beat Paul Craig, or maybe the Ritter beats Paul Craig, and now he's on he beats, and somehow Paul Craig's ranked, and and then it's like, oh, he's the real deal. But I think
let's continue to keep finessing this to make Bo Nickal look good. Yeah,
which is not out of their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But anyway, anyway, what else? The main event. I mean, I think that what should happen is exactly what we said should happen. I think that Sandhagen does deserve a title shot. He did finish Figueiredo. Figueiredo did look good in the beginning. It took Sandhagen a minute to figure it out, but he did. And I love watching Cory Sandhagen fight. I really do. He's got so many weapons. You could just tell he's just so passionate about his craft. I love how he's got kind of he's long, so he can't really help it. He comes forward aggressively, which long people don't normally do, but he's got this kind of jab, that like chops out from the side, but he can't help it. He's long, like I said. When you're going to fight aggressively, that happens. But his level change is so good for a taller guy. It's just phenomenal, and it's so overlooked. And I think that adds levels to his game, because just from the striking and then to takedowns, he's so fun to watch. He's my pick for the number one contender. I don't care what anyone was saying on social media. What do you think?
No, I think he's the most well-rounded fighter in the division, which is in a very tough division to be the most well-rounded guy.
Yeah.
He just, sometimes when you are that well-rounded and you get matched up against a specialist, quote unquote, or at least a guy who's a specialist in one area, and they force him to fight in that area where they can be kind of better than him in that area. So when I say he's the most well-rounded guy, that doesn't mean he's the best in every area. It just means he's the most complete overall in all the areas. But like when he fought Umar was, kind of outsmarted him and got on top of him, and he wasn't able to execute. But I think that a title shot is warranted. I'd love to see it. Either way, even more so than a title shot, I just want to see him fight O'Malley.
Mm.
That's
Yeah,
so if if O'Malley loses, I want to see it. If O'Malley wins, I want to see it.
yeah.
So for his sake, hopefully O'Malley wins and they give him the shot. I think they would make that too. I think they would actually make that too. Peter Yan might have something to say, but as we just saw, you sent me a message earlier. A tweet was out that Peter Yan's fighting Marcus McGee, which is a tremendous fight.
Yeah. Was hoping Gutierrez was going to get it, but maybe still time, I guess. Yeah, that's going to be a great fight too. That's going to be a great fight too.
I don't know if Marcus McGee is ready for that yet. But he look. I don't know how old he is. He looks older, but if he is a little older, he has to do it because he don't have a lot of time. But
yeah,
I always had high hopes for Marcus McGee. I think he's a great fighter. He's on one of my list of most underrated fighters in the UFC.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
man, this is a lot of noise here. Can you hear all this noise? There's a train going by
or something.
Goddamn Philly. Philly's wild, man. You ever been out to Philly?
I have spent minimal time in Philly. I've been there 3 times where I actually spent time. I was there for a UFC. I was there for a Phillies game, and I was there for something else. Forgot what I was there for.
It's just a war zone at times. Just people are mean. Everything, nothing works right. It's the roads
right. I think. I don't know. I don't know. I probably didn't talk to a lot of people when I was out there.
Yeah. So, UFC 315 this weekend. Good card. Ticket sales apparently aren't doing so well, but there's still plenty of time for people to jump on the bandwagon. It's our job. It's not our job to sell it. It's my job Friday night to sell it, but for today, for today, I want to just break it down.
Let's help them sell it. When was the last time the UFC came to Canada? One of the big cities out there. Let's go. Come on, people. Get to
Toronto, UFC 297, Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. That was the last main event. Pay-per-view. They were in, I think, Edmonton a few months ago.
What are the Canadian fighters on this card this weekend?
We got the best hopeful for a championship, Jasmine Jazz Devicious, going to take on Jessica Andrade, and I expect her to beat her up pretty good. You got Mike Malott on there. I expect him to try to represent. But besides that, there's a couple more. They just actually added Kyle Pro. I can't pronounce his last name. It sucks because they just re-signed him to take this fight against Benoit Saint Denis because Joel Alvarez got hurt, and a lot of people are a little upset with this matchup. So,
I did say they were upset. Actually, I think that's not a bad fight though.
But it's fair. But it's fair to be upset.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. We're talking about the lightweight division, the most stacked division historically in the last 5 years, right?
I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah.
And the best they could come up with is this guy.
Well, who else is available right now? Sometimes it's a time. Pull it up.
Gamrot asked for it.
I did see Gamrot ask for it. Actually, I was thinking him.
But not that. Hold on, wait a minute. But there's still other guys in the top 15 through 20 with names that we know that we might have been able to get excited for.
Let's see here.
Nobody, huh?
No, there's people. What's Gaethje, Holloway, Poirier booked up. Daniel Hooker's fighting too, right?
No, but he's hurt. I think his hand is still hurt.
Yeah. Patty's in limbo. What about Dariush? What's Dariush been up to lately?
I don't know. They could have probably put in Dariush. I mean, they paid him to not fight that last fight. That might have been a good replacement. Maybe he wasn't ready. But I mean, there had to have been somebody in the top 20. It don't even have to be top 10.
What's Arman Tsarukyan? I wonder if they even offered him the fight.
Well, Arman Tsarukyan actually turned down a Gamrot fight, complaining that it was a waste of his time. I'm like, wait a minute, Gamrot got a win over you.
Yeah, I bet they did offer him that fight because they're not happy with him right now. Anyway, I think Beneil Dariush is the best one, best option right now. Yeah,
but no, I think there's some guys out there that they should have pulled in. Maybe some Brazilian tough. I mean, just somebody on the roster. Like they went off the roster to sign a guy who hadn't fought in the UFC in 5 years, and they're going to put him on the main card against Benoit Saint Denis.
So
there has to be more. That couldn't have been the first option. They probably was just like, fuck it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who's booked, who's not taking the fight, and then it'll come out after who didn't take the fight. They'll talk about it. They always do.
Yeah.
But I obviously the card a little bit top heavy with everything going on. We'll start with the co-main event. Manion Figueiredo. How do you pronounce her last name?
Fior.
Yeah. Valentina Shevchenko. I think that fight could be more entertaining than people think, but I see Shevchenko controlling that fight.
I thought so too. She's an underdog.
Is she really?
Yeah, I think that everybody's just looking at Manon Fior like she beat Erin Blanchfield. But she did a really good job against Erin Blanchfield of just being elusive and moving, and then forcing Erin Blanchfield to make mistakes to try to get inside, and then she took advantage of her during those mistakes. But I think Valentina's a better kicker and closes the distance better than Erin Blanchfield. So I think she should be able to deal with that better.
I could see Fior actually high volume is what I do, and head kicks, a lot of head kicks. Try to keep her from using her strikes to get in, because Valentina has that kind of stiff stance where she doesn't waste a lot of energy. And just not necessarily to knock her out, but just to take those weapons away and kind of try to score, and then throw punches after head kicks and score with those and just stay moving. But I think after a round and a half that Valentina is going to figure that out and tie her up and then get it to the ground or just hold her against the cage.
I'm curious as to know why Valentina changed her style up a bit to be more of a grappler. I don't know if that was opponent specific against Alexa Grasso, but you notice how like she fought Alexa Grasso, and especially in the third fight, she was like, all right, I'm turning into a wrestler here. And I mean, at times I can kind of like that. Or is it because she just doesn't want to take punishment on the feet because Alexa was kind of touching her up?
Yeah. Maybe the loss just got to her a little bit more than we see, than meets the eye. That is strange though. Yeah. Like, how do you change your identity like that? And you've gotten so far and you're a natural striker.
I think that could be a problem, actually. Like mentally be a problem if that's the case. Like if she's like gotten older and just like more mature to be like, you know what, I want to fight a little safer. Like, it worked for like Glover to have a grappling heavy style because he was a grappler, but she was a striker coming up, and then to change it now as she's gotten older seems a bit questionable.
That's so strange too, because you usually see like the opposite. Like I felt when people get older, for the most part, I know you just mentioned Glover, but they get more striking heavy. It's because it's a little bit easier to move.
Right.
But it is safer if you have the conditioning to control people with wrestling. But it's tough to get there, especially with someone who's going to be throwing high volume and good strikes on you. So
that's why I think for Valentina, in order to win this fight, she's got to make fight her a little more. She's got to kind of get a little dirty and do get inside and fight a little dirty, and then be willing to take some punishment early to make Manon fight and wear her out a little bit, because Manon, I don't think she has the best like pure quote unquote gas tank. I think she manages it well because she only fights in her spots. But I think if you force her to fight, she'll get tired.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that too, actually. I was just watching her last fight. She does very well with her rest spots. Like in professional wrestling, we were talking about, like they have her rest spots. She does very well with her rest spots. That's very true. Against Valentina, it's tough to like. That's why I think Valentina is going to close that margin on those rest spots as the fight goes on. She's going to get that timing down, and I think that's why she's going to end up dominating. Yeah.
Well, how about the main event? We got Bilal Muhammad taking on Jack Della Maddalena. I always got to be careful with that. Della Maddalena.
I say the M first.
Actually, I can appreciate the fight. I know it's not one that they're talking about at the water cooler in the office today, but it's a fight that I can certainly appreciate. I love both of these guys' mentality and their attitudes towards the fight game, and I'm just glad that they're able to fight. So Um, and I'm favoring Bilal, but I do see a world in which Jack wins.
I agree with you. I'm favoring Bilal. I think that he's a lot quicker than people give him credit for, especially in that inside area, both with striking and wrestling. And I think you get somebody with long arms like that telebone, that like JDM. It's going to give him a lot of fits, and somebody that could be so effective from the inside. Even the way that like Bilal fought Sean Brady that time, where like he boxed and he kind of stayed tight and just worked that jab and everything. I think that could give JDM fits. Now, early, similar to the co-main event, like the timing, maybe it might take a round for Bilal to get it down, because like I said, he's quick. I didn't say he's fast. You know, like there's a big difference. Like he's inside, he could be a little agile in there, but to cover that distance is kind of a lot of work. Now, Jack Delamella, see, I screwed up too.
You know what I'm saying? You got to be careful with that. If you're not careful, you're going to mess it up.
JDM, JMD, but he's very dangerous with his striking. He's a lot of fun to watch. That's why I'm not shitting on this fight either. I think it's going to be a really fun fight, regardless of what happens. Yeah, maybe not the fight that everyone wanted, not the water cooler fight you spoke about, but he presents some challenges, and I think that I could see a world where he wins this fight, but I'm leaning Bilal.
Yeah, I have to. It's funny because ESPN, I'm doing the coach's corner for Jack Della Maddalena on what his keys to victory are, and they're going to be a little unconventional. Actually, I think it's not just a stop the takedowns. You know, it's not just those things, right? I have a couple things in my head. I'll save them for the pre-show, but so you guys watch the pre-show. But
Pre-show.
yeah, pre-show on ESPN Plus. But it'll be, and so I have to do some. So I've been studying him, and I have to do some. I had to do my research on Jack, and he's really good, man. He's a really good body puncher. He's really good in combinations, and he's really tough. He's not afraid to sit in a hot kitchen and cook.
Yeah,
and yeah. So I think that if Bilal wants to get in his face and go in the kitchen, they're gonna be there. He's not gonna run from him. He's gonna be there. He doesn't really move back a lot either. So
who wins the ugly? Who's the ugliest fighter of the fight? That's kind of sounds like who's gonna win those situations. Who wins the ugly?
I was like, I know you ain't talking about my man Jack's nose.
Oh, I knew I was going somewhere with that fight.
His nose is on another face.
Yeah, it is. It's like,
I'll be like, yo, whose face is your nose on?
Like they try to test him for COVID. They're like, how the hell are we gonna get it in there?
Yeah, that must have been crazy.
Yeah, what do you do with a nose like that? At what point, like, what do you wait to retire? Or does he just own it? Like, what do you do?
I think. I mean, I guess maybe you wait for yourself to retire and then get it fixed when it's all said and done, if you want to. But there's no way that when you're retired you walk around with a nose like that, because it has to really fuck up your breathing. You probably can't sleep. It has to be a mess to deal with, to breathe.
You've had your nose broken.
I thought I did.
I remember when I thought I did, and the doctors checked me out. They said, "How many times you have your nose broken?" I said, "I've never had my nose broken." They go, "Yeah, you have." And then I remember when I really broke my nose, and now I see, like, when I lose weight, you can see, like, even like you can see how it kind of goes.
Yeah,
to the side.
yeah.
Like and when I thought I was going to get the surgery, but it's not so bad. But when I try to do the COVID test, it goes up the right side or the left side. Great. The right side, it like goes up like half an inch because I can't get it up there.
Ding, 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 ding. Blocked.
I'm just going to do this side twice.
How about Jose Aldo? Jose Aldo on the card taking on Ayman Zahabi.
Yeah, Jose's there. You know, I feel like power to him. Like the last time we talked about Jose, I feel like he's going to be in the fight, and people are going to be going crazy because it's Jose Aldo, but he's just going to get controlled somewhere. And
well, I don't know, because Ayman Zahabi's not a grappler. Like he's probably a grappler, but he don't fight like that.
Well,
He's
I mean, like I don't mean like control. I shouldn't have said control. I mean like the fight's going to be controlled, whether it's control the dance on the
Oh,
feet. But like
right.
I just feel like those knees are shot for Jose unless he could really start chopping down early on those leg kicks to really stop the footwork of the boxer. You know, like I don't know. I just see Zahabi doing it.
That's a possibility. I'm kind of torn on this fight. I think it could favor Jose just because Zahabi's kind of a puncher. He's a big puncher. Always had a great chin, and he always does good against guys like this. So it could be a good fight for him. Is it the last time we see him? Kind of hope so, man. Like more than anything else, I hate when we give a guy like this warm retirement, and then they come back. And he did that fast. And I was upset that he came back. I was like, man, this motherfucker. He came back and fought good, don't get me wrong. But it was just like, man, we done cried for you, gave you a retirement. It's like saying goodbye to somebody and seeing them in the elevator.
Yeah. Like Brett Favre.
Awkward,
like,
dude.
Yeah.
Go away.
I don't think he goes away, you know, especially now they're like really making a point with these retirement videos and stuff. And they want people to know. And especially like people are talking about attractions with these fights now. I think that the way you recycle these fighters is to market their last fight. This is the retirement fight of so-and-so, like what they're doing with Dustin. So he's in the cage. He gets his send-off video. It's an attraction for the event. And I think that we're going to see that with Jose. I don't think this is his last fight.
Well, hopefully not. He's always a treat to watch. Last thing before we go. International Fight Week still has no main event, still no co-main event. What in the hell is going on?
Damn. We're in May already. We're 6 weeks out? 7 weeks out?
6 weeks out, man. I mean, it's the biggest fight card of the year. It's the biggest fight card it's what everybody is anticipating. Like International Fight Week, Fan Expo, all the events, everything goes on that week. We got no main event, no co-main event.
Now, unless they're announcing it this weekend, they must really not have any idea what they're doing. Because I know that there's talks that Aspinall and Jones is decided on and all this, you know, but when's the announcement? But that's why I think they need to start marketing this fight, and they need to use the event this weekend to do so. And if they don't, and even then, which one are you going to market, the main event or the co-main event? You know, it's kind of hard to market both at the same time because then you're taking one away from the other. I don't know. What would you do if you're the UFC right now with that?
I can't imagine the UFC getting caught with their pants down.
No.
I can't imagine that they're in the office right now thinking, oh shit, we still don't have a co-main event and the main event. I think they're sitting on it and they're just making everybody sweat and speculate. They have to be. There's no way that company doesn't have a main event. I think they're sitting on it. I think they love the fact that we're talking about it and don't know what's going on. And I think that probably this weekend on a card that's quote unquote relatively lackluster is a good time to announce something like this and drop the bomb on who's going to be the headliner for International Fight Week. But for the UFC to have let it get that far out of hand, I don't buy that.
Yeah, I'm with you. If you look back and you think of all the things the UFC has accomplished on short notice, the two most miraculous things, well, one of them is not that miraculous. The most miraculous thing that comes to mind is, do you remember, and I think it was 2014, maybe it was 2015, when they were supposed to have the event in Las Vegas, but John Jones wasn't cleared, and they moved the entire event to Anaheim overnight?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they sold the place out. That's insane. Like if they could do something like that, and then when Jones did test positive on the week it's UFC 200, and they called Anderson Silva to come in and fight Daniel Cormier, so they figure shit out. So I think that it's this weekend we're going to find out what the play is for International Fight Week.
But I think they have it, though. I think they have it, but I think they have it, and they're just making us sweat and think they don't have it. But we know what they're capable of. Like even if something happens week of International Fight Week, they will still be able to pivot and make something else happen. But I think that they have it. There's no way they let it get this far out of hand. And and don't have something up their sleeve for us to salivate to.
Speaking real quick of things we're not aware of, have they announced yet who the alternate is for the main event this weekend in the welterweight fight?
It's Ian Gary.
It is. It is Ian Gary. Oh, I thought
Ian Gary's weighing in. Yeah, Ian Gary will weigh in.
That's cool.
Ian Gary will weigh in. Sean Brady will be in attendance, and yeah, I don't know who else would be in conversation for that, but Ian Gary will weigh in as the backup in case something happens. Was
Sean in the conversation at all for that?
I don't think so. And that might have been just him saying, man, I'm not weighing in for this bullshit. Well, because I know who did say that. Cory Sandhagen said that about being the backup for Merab and O'Malley. Like, they asked him to do it, and he said, does that guarantee me a title shot? And they were like, that doesn't guarantee you a title shot. It's just you can weigh in for this. And he was like, I'm not doing it then because it sucks. I don't want to have to train for both guys, weigh in, probably not fight, and then still not be guaranteed a title shot. Not worth it. So
yep, I'm with that. I'm with that. Like, you deserve your due, especially if you're going to take a fight on short notice. You know, you deserve your moment.
Well, think about like whoever's the backup for O'Malley and Merab. Like, someone like Peter Yan could do it because his style is so self-centered. Like, he fights the way he fights no matter who he's fighting. But when you're an opponent-specific type of fighter who game plans for opponents, could you imagine having to train for O'Malley and Merab?
Yeah, I guess
like a tall, lanky striker and then a short buzzsaw of a wrestler. Like, who wants to? Yeah,
I think that I would just train. I would focus more on who I'd be more of my weakness, which I think would be Merab. But that's just me. I mean, I don't know. I've never been in that situation. I would do what Cory did and just say, nah, I'm good. Yeah. I was in this situation, but yeah, that doesn't do it for me either. That doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna have a backup for that. I think if something does happen with that fight, they'll just move Kayla Harrison and Juliana Pena up.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. But Ryan, always good chatting with you. Good catching up. We'll catch up again next week. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. And we will be back next week. And on that note, this court is adjourned.